welcome you. Thank you very much for showing up today. I appreciate it. I know it took effort. I do. I'm not kidding. This is not a joke. I know it took effort because it seems like everything these days takes at least a little bit more effort than these same things might have taken, I don't know, 4 years ago and 2 months ago. I'm not being specific about anything, but I'm just saying. And I wonder just how widespread this malaise, this tiredness, this struggle that a lot of people have been sharing with me recently is. We had the pandemic. Nobody saw that coming. We had a strike. Some people saw that coming. Nobody saw it lasting as long as it did, or that it was going to be in conjunction with another strike or overlap with a third strike. And then the production opportunities seemed to dry up, or at least lessen. And all of this is contributing to what many, many actors are sharing with me, and voice talent are sharing with me, as being a real change in their attitude, in their level of energy, in the overall power that they feel that they have to pursue a creative career, a career as a performer, a career as an on-camera actor, a career on stage has always been a struggle, but even more so these days. And then voiceover being an issue. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Ajarae Coleman is going to be my guest. I want to share with you this link. Jot it down now, get it squared away, click on it if you haven't yet, voheroes.com/power. She's doing a 3-day webinar that I've been to already, and that I can't tell you how great it is. It's amazing, called Powerhouse. We're going to talk about that. But in general, what I'd love for you to do before we get started and I bring Ajarae on, I would love for you to, in the comments below, whether you're watching on Facebook or you're watching on LinkedIn or on YouTube, jot your name down in the comments and your level of power, 0 to 10. How good do you feel about being a performer these days? About how much power you have and dominion you have over this pursuit of a career that's like weird in general, and at best very tough to explain to the muggles out there. Because we're going to talk about that, and also ways to fix that, and why this is so important to Ajarae. And Ajarae Coleman is a longtime friend and I'm here. There she is. Ajarae's there. A longtime friend and peer and fellow actor, fellow voice talent, fellow teacher and trainer. And she is, as you look at, how she does her work and how she does her stuff, she is kind of the embodiment of owning your power. Like, if Brene Brown, and I forget the woman who did, was it Amy? I forget the name of the author that did the superhuman pose, the superhero pose. Do you remember that by any chance? Anyway, she embodies this. In fact, there's a picture when you click on that link and you scroll down and you read all the stuff about it. Just scroll down to the register button and click it and go. But if you want to read all the stuff, feel free. It's great. But there's a picture of her. You're on a boat or on a dock or on a pier or something, and you look like you're modeling for the Statue of Liberty, but without holding up the torch. You're like standing there going, "Come on, motherfucker, take me on." I'm dead, and I'm like, "Whoa, what happened?" So anyway, hi, Ajarae.
Hi, David.
Hi.
It's so good to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for showing up. Jamie's here. She says a 7. Now I want to make sure I understand. I want you to understand this. This is 0 means you have no power. You feel powerless. You're like, why did I ever do this? I can't affect anything. I have nothing to. Nothing is. I can't steer this boat at all. 10 is like, I'm good. Everything's great. I'm doing okay. I'm cool with everything. I don't know who Flash Kids is. If you could tell me your name, that would be great. Renee, she says 8. Renee says a 7. Not Sheryl Sandberg. That's the lady that used to be the COO at Facebook. There's an author who, and I'll stop talking in just a second here, I promise. I did have some coffee. Uh, there's an author, I think her name begins with an A, who wrote a book about this. Brene Brown is like, another great author on empowerment. Kermit says an 8. Rosvita says 6. Okay. Dennis is saying 6.5. He's very specific. Dennis is. Ajarae, where are you? Where are you on this scale?
Oh, this is a great question. I think that right now, and this is a question that I feel like I would answer differently depending on the day. But right now, I think I'm feeling like an 8.5, 9.
Pretty good.
Yeah, feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good.
Yeah. I would say the same thing, and I think the difference is there are people that look at the amount of control that they have over a business that doesn't give you any sort of traditional control. Like you go and you're a plumber, you got some control over how you're trained and how you can find jobs, and the fact that there's a lot more drains and faucets and toilets and piping than there are plumbers.
That's right.
Whereas with us, it's the reverse. So could you talk about a little bit about why you're an 8.5 or a 9?
Sure. As I was thinking about the answer, I was thinking about times when I don't feel as good. And, one of the reasons that I'm hosting this workshop is because I have learned specific tools, strategies, ways of kind of like caring for myself that get me back into the 8.5, 9 level fairly consistently. And I've been pretty good with that. I've been staying on top of my daily meditations. I just got back from Pilates. I have a call scheduled tomorrow with a friend of mine who I know really fills my cup, So right now, although the same thing might be happening in my career as when I feel like a 6, the rest of me feel like my nervous system feels good. And so I can say that I'm an 8.5 or 9. And that really affects my actions and the actions that I take for my career as well.
Yeah. That was the next question I was going to have. Maybe the amount of actual control that all of us have is exactly the same. None, or some, but a little bit. But it's how we accept that, how we approach that, how we view that, maybe reframe it. That makes the difference.
I think it's how we relate to that really makes the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This thing you're doing on Monday, Powerhouse, I did it last year and the year before, and I'll be traveling this week, so I won't be able to do it. Although I guess I could try from row 11C.
But by the way, you don't need to be there live while the sessions are happening. You can watch it anytime that day. So if you're traveling,
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah. I'm requiring all of my referrals to go live. If they don't go, I don't want them to. Well, here's why. Aren't you offering some sort of special doodads for people that show up live?
For sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Showing up live is best, but I don't want you to miss it altogether just because you're traveling.
Okay. Yeah, people should go, no matter whether they can go live or not. But if you do go live, it's great. And go to voheroes.com/power. I've got some comp tickets for you. Go register. It's noon Pacific, 3 Eastern on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Okay. And I love the way you organize all the stuff. It's like there's woo-woo, then there's woo-woo-woo, and then there's woo-woo on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I'm, you're the fulcrum point for me in terms of the woo-woo thing. I was never woo-woo.
Oh.
I never was. And then I had a couple of incidents that occurred that pointed out to me, perhaps there's something to all this woo-woo stuff. Maybe you should investigate that mind-body connection, that thing. So tell us a little bit about what's happening on Monday for sure. And then if you can touch on Tuesday and Wednesday, that'd be great, because Monday's a big day.
Yeah, I absolutely can. So we've been talking about, the amount of power that you're feeling right now, and a little bit about that being dependent upon how you relate to the realities of our industry. And so Monday, we're going to be really diving into that, diving into your identity as an actor, your identity as a creative. I believe that all of us can stand to have a more empowered way of relating to ourselves and relating to, how much power we hold, to not only have the careers that we want, but the reason why we want the career is because we love doing those things and we want to have the life that we want, right? And so we really are connecting um, the way we approach our acting lives, our voiceover lives to our like experience of our daily lives. So in day one, we're going to be breaking down the 5 powerless actor archetypes. There are 5 buckets that I think we tend to fall into. And knowing which bucket you fall into can be so helpful, just as a light bulb moment of like, oh my God, yes, that's me. Here's how I can shift that. So that's what we're doing on day one.
Okay.
Yeah.
We look at the world that we live in, the world that isn't the actor world that we live in, and it feels like a whole bunch of that stuff is affecting us in the world of performance. It may not have as much in the past, but everything is so integrated now, and everything is so like, technology and politics
Right.
and healthcare and health and mental health. And did I mention health? You look at the effects of the pandemic when it first started. Voiceover talent were kind of like, okay, we got to work from home. Don't throw me in that briar patch, Bear. I don't know if I can handle it. We've been working from home for a long time. I think I mentioned when it first started, I think I've been doing this since the late 60s, working from home.
Mhm.
But today, the effects of the residual effects of the pandemic, the strikes, the threat of AI. I mean, it's not just the realities and the imagined dangers of these things, but it's what it leaves going on in our mind, which is why I'm so glad you're doing this workshop. Again, it's called Powerhouse. It's about examining and leveling and perhaps reclaiming and changing your mind and reframing your approach to power, especially in an industry where you can feel very powerless. When you look at the biggest complaints that your students and clients have had about whatever power they perceive they may have in the business, what are the big ones? Casting, representation,
Yeah.
training. What are the big ones that you see?
Right. Feeling like you're doing this work and no one's seeing it.
Say it again. The first part.
Self tapes.
Self tapes. Great. Yeah,
Yep.
self
That's a
tapes.
big one. Um, feeling like even when you have a representative, they're not doing that much for you. So what's the point?
Mm,
You know, complaints about the online casting submission services and that they're charging an arm and a leg and they're hard to use. And, there's a ton of complaints recently. And, I mean, I say recently as if we haven't always been complaining about things, but I feel like what you were talking about as we started this conversation is true, that there's just been this pile on of global and local and personal issues that's just made it feel like an uphill battle for 4 years. You know, that's a
yeah,
long time to sustain a sense of positivity when you just don't seem to have any evidence of it,
yeah,
right?
yeah. There was always the threat when we went out on strike, at least for the union actors who are watching this. And if you, by the way, if you are watching this on the replay, be sure to tag Ajarae
Yes.
and or me so that we know you've got a question. And I'd love you if you have questions about this, please put them in the comments below and let me pose them to Ajarae if you have questions about how to get your power back. You're going to get a lot of it from the workshop. But if you have, your current struggles, your biggest struggle right now, I'd ask you for a number between 0 and 10. And right now, what is it? Is it getting auditions? Is it finding representation? Is it at least seeing that opportunities are going to be there for you, sustainability of your career in the future? Are you fearful that AI is going to take over all the jobs? What are you thinking? Put it in the comments below. Let us know, and we'll put you up on the screen, and we'll have Ajarae take a crack at it. But um, there have been a lot of articles. There's one that you referred me to that I'd seen before in Deadline about how everything's drying up, and they're blaming it in many ways on actors and writers being very, very selfish in the negotiations during the strikes and asking for too much and getting too much, and having the producers turn around and go, "Oh yeah, okay, all right. So we're only going to do 3 episodes in that mini series this year, as opposed to 24 or 8 or 16." And to some degree, production has moved around the country. I just read there's a new, Nevada now has
Mm,
a new film fund,
right.
and they're like, we're building all kinds of studios in Vegas and Reno and Carson City. And Carson City, don't they still have, like, meet me at high noon with your guns drawn? Isn't that what goes on in Carson? I don't know. But has it turned out to be really as bad as the doomsayers say it is in terms of our level of opportunity?
Well, I think it depends on your perspective. I think if you want it to be that bad, there's tons of evidence for it being that bad. And if you are a person who sees opportunity all around you and are willing to look at ways that it's showing up that you might not have anticipated, then you're going to have a different experience, right? I think about one of my clients, Katie Broad. She, this is just after the pandemic. She kind of like took a break from acting, was dealing with a bunch of personal stuff, and kind of came back after the pandemic. I started working with her. And it's like, oh gosh, right. Great time to re-enter the workforce. And she lives in New York. She's works a lot in theater. But she managed to book an off-Broadway play. And she was super excited about this, thought that this would be the kind of stepping stone to getting the agent that she wanted. Started the agent process and wasn't able to sign with a representative. And so was feeling super discouraged about this, right? As many of us are, right? We're out here doing self-tapes, doing auditions, trying to get agent meetings, trying to move this thing forward and just not having the traction that we expect, right? But what Katie was really good at was staying open to a pathway that he didn't anticipate. And so, this is over many strategy calls, coaching sessions. She determined that she was going to not worry about the fact that she wasn't able to get meetings right now, but continue to build relationships as she was doing, right? One of the things she was doing was letting people know, letting the casting community know that she was open to doing table reads and workshops of new plays. She just loves the theater, right? So she's seizing on her love of this art form and creates relationships with that. One of the casting directors that she really connected with started bringing her in to help out with casting sessions, to be the reader for casting sessions. Fast forward to last year, the casting director is casting An Enemy of the People, starring Jeremy Strong, Michael Imperioli. And she's like, you know what, Katie, I really want you to meet the director, Sam Gold. I think you would be fantastic for this role. I want you to be the reader for this session. And that's my way of getting you to meet this director. Katie booked it. Katie booked her first Broadway role on a hit show, Tony-winning show. No agent, right? Just totally different path. Thought the opportunities weren't there. The opportunities were there. They were just in a different way. So I think that when you're willing to stay connected to your love of what you're doing creatively, continue to build relationships, continue to stay out there with positivity, with a sense of gratitude, right? This
Yeah.
casting director connected with Katie because she is just a fantastic person to be around and to work with, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's available to all of us, no matter what this is happening with this Hollywood contraction.
Yeah. It sounds very much like something that I happen to know about how you teach things. And that is, I don't know if you describe it this way, but I recognize that you teach people how to listen
Mm.
in a particular way and how to explore our business in a particular way. You help them learn how to listen like an entrepreneur listens. They
Mm.
listen for problems and they listen for ways to solve those problems. They don't worry about who's done it how in the past. Sure, you can get an agent and sit around and wait for the auditions to come in from that agent. That's the tried and true supposed way to do it. And if you're not doing it that way, then it's too much work, it's too much hustle. But the truth is that, going back to, I'm sure, long before the apocryphal story of Lana Turner being discovered sitting on a fountain stool at Schwab's here in Los Angeles, uh, you know, the circuitous routes that we take to get to where we want to go, nobody looks back and goes, man, why did it take so much other work, other hard, turns and paths to get to it? Everybody has that. Nobody does it the traditional way. Really, I'm not kidding. If
So
you've
true.
got people who are influencers, we were told for a long time there that influencers were going to be the new crop of actors.
Mm.
Turns out you have to know how to act.
Right.
But, just saying. And there's some influencers that if they got some basic courses, would be great.
Yeah.
But then there's the rest of them who, like, I don't want to watch them for 24 episodes in a series based on a video game. No,
Yep.
show me the
Absolutely.
makeup. I want to see the makeup. Show me how to do the makeup. Listening is a really big part of this. I want you to go check out, get your ticket if you haven't already. Sorry, hang on one second. I want to put this back up on the screen. Go to voheroes.com/power and register for the workshop. It's absolutely free. Got your tickets comped. Ajarae said, anybody you send my way, I'll take. And it's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at noon Pacific. It's called POWERHOUSE. And there is this notion that a lot of people that get interesting advice, they say all you have to do is work harder, nose to the grindstone,
Oh,
push
right.
it, what do they hustle, you're
Grind,
being live the
down.
dream every day, right? Does
Yeah.
that help? Does that help?
In my experience, no. The simple answer is no. The more nuanced answer is, being willing to take action, of course, is great, right? That's part of it. We need to be willing to move on impulses. We need to be willing to do things. Sure. But as a recovering alcoholic, I'm here to tell you that that's not all it takes. It's not all, right? And I love the way you talk about this too, David. You talk about the three sides, right? The art, the business, the mindset. It's all of these things come together to help us reach the goals that we set. So not only do we have to be willing to take action, but we need to be willing to cultivate a successful mindset. We need to take care of our mental health, right? I've seen so many times that people reach the goals that they think they had, and they get there and they're totally unhappy because they haven't dealt with the, mental health stuff that they need to along the way. How many hugely successful actors have we seen who died by suicide or, drug related things or serious issues that we really need to deal with as we're growing our careers,
Yeah.
So in addition to that, we also need to be willing to connect with people to help us, right? I think a lot of people who tend to work really hard also feel like they want to do it on their own. They don't want to ask people for help. They don't want to bother people. They don't want to, feel vulnerable and like they're, whatever. And that is something that I've really had to tackle for my own mindset as well. Being willing to view relationships as mutually beneficial exchanges. When you're connecting with casting directors, they also need to know really good actors and really good voiceover talent, you know, and we have to keep that in mind as well.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, the short answer is absolutely not. It's just not enough. And also, I think it can lead to a life that's really not a lot of fun. If you feel like you get up in the morning and you just work until you fall into bed at night, what kind of a life is that? Right? And what kind of a creative are you when all you're doing is working all day? It's
Yeah.
not super interesting.
Yeah. You made an oblique reference in terms of the struggle that people who suffer with addiction have. 12-step programs often incorporate, or at least, the ones that I've seen often incorporate the Serenity Prayer.
Yes.
And it feels to me as though actors fall prey to what the Serenity Prayer is actually talking about.
Mm,
Actors sometimes struggle with understanding the difference between the things they can change and the things they have no control over,
well,
and the wisdom to know the difference
yeah.
sometimes escapes them. They
Mm,
think that when they come into this business, that they will do it their way. They will do it because they're an artist and they've been rewarded their lifetime with, oh, that's really interesting. You're such a unicorn, And then when they realize, that marching to a different drummer doesn't necessarily help in some cases. Maybe in some cases it does. You do you, boo. But in many ways, maybe getting some outside help, some support from somebody like you, Ajarae, could be helpful in terms of kind of identifying those things that you actually do have some say in the matter, and then being at ease and giving yourself some grace about those things that you just have to kind of like wait for it to wash over you and see what happens.
yeah, totally. And that actually reminds me, um, we didn't yet talk about days 2 and 3 of Powerhouse, but um, day 3 is all about the stuff that we can control. We're talking about the 11 pillars of the Powerhouse actor and really breaking down, like, okay, well, now that I feel like I have a good sense of who I am and what power I hold, in day 2, we're going to do a meditative journey. I'm treating you to an energetic alignment session led by the table's resident energy healer. Her name is Sarah Hotman. She is amazing. You listen to her voice for like 5 minutes and you're just off on another planet. It's quite
Yeah.
amazing. So that's what we're doing on day 2. It's really going to help you identify and clear some limiting beliefs that you may have. And then on day 3, we're talking strategy because there are lots of things that we can do. But I think the key is, spending our precious time doing things that really matter, making power moves, and like you said, being okay with the things that we can't control and surrendering those things. I'm actually in a 12-step group, adult children of alcoholics. And, what we have a slightly different version of that prayer. It's, what I can control and knowing that the only person that I can control is myself.
Mm.
It's really empowering way
Yeah.
of saying, I can't control what that producer decides. I can't control whether, that showrunner decides to cast me or someone else, but there are tons of things that I can control.
Got it. Got
Yeah.
it. I'm looking at some of the comments here. Shout out to Bill W. John says, Rosvita says, booking headshots, updating equipment, updating hair before the headshots, taking classes, PACE, DHLXVI. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Rosvita. If you could give me some clarity on that. You're pacing me? Like pace car? I'm not sure. Finish script, look for, this is a lot of work.
This
It's
is
a
a
lot.
lot.
I'm not even halfway through this list here. I'm already exhausted. I mean, this brings up an interesting point. Prioritization sometimes
Mhm.
becomes a real big challenge. I'm one of those people that uh, suffers isn't the right word. Experiences is the word. Occasional uh, misrepresentation of the level of import that some of the things on my to-do list have.
Yeah.
You know, I get a kick out of doing really mundane rote work over and over and over again. I can accomplish it. Success, 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 success.
Check the box, check.
What?
Check the box, check the box.
Check the box, exactly. Not sure if that moves me closer to the pin though. And
Yeah.
so I mean, I always reframe and say, of course, you're gonna get this done anyway. It moves you closer to the pin. Just go with that. So when you say there's strategies, I think you're selling yourself short, because it's not just strategies, it's actual tactics that you can put to work that will help you observe the power that you had, or at least the level of power that you thought you had, and
Mm.
then compare that once you engage in these tactics based on the strategies that Ajarae gives you in Powerhouse at the new level of, I got this, I
Mm.
have this. This is a new level of confidence, it's a new level of energy, it's a new level of commitment, even in the face of all the uncertainty that we have.
Yeah.
I can't say enough good things about this. So please go to voheroes.com/power and sign up. Your ticket is comped on me. When people walk away from this workshop, and go ahead and keep putting your questions and your challenges below this video, wherever you are. When people walk away from this, what do you hope they take with them? What do
Mm.
you hope is going to be the change that they experience and the new tools that they might have?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, I really, what you were saying just now really encapsulates what I think why this 3-day experience will be so transformational. And it's because when you can see that something works, right? When you can see, oh, wow, I feel differently, or okay, that really worked. Like this person replied, and I feel a sense of community, or, I started doing this weekly planning ritual, and all of a sudden I know what to do with the time that I have, right? It's like you have a sense of like affirmation during a time, as we've discussed, that has felt very discouraging, you know? So we're beginning to draw our um, sense of accomplishment from something that we can control instead of relying on something that we can't. These outside forces, the economy, whatever's happening politically, inflation, all of these things that can be scary and, incite a feeling of fear, of dread, all those things, all those negative emotions that don't really help us to move forward, right?
Yeah.
What
I'm
I
going to
really
go ahead.
No, yeah. What I really have designed this workshop to do is to help you rewrite the conditioning, the limiting beliefs, whatever you feel like is holding you back. And you'll discover that over the course of the 3 days, whatever's holding you back from your next level of success. So there are going to be actors in this workshop who are just getting started. There are going to be actors in this workshop who make most of their money from acting. It really doesn't matter. It's all about you getting to the next place and feeling like you're empowered to do that. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about fear.
Mm.
People experience fear at every level, every stage of this business, at every moment, from trying to decide whether or not they even want to be an actor,
Yeah.
to learning how to, like you mentioned, do a self-tape, and whether that's going to be good enough for a casting director to be able to see what they're capable of doing. Like you can zoom down into a micro moment just before you open the door on the, mounted into the flat backstage to walk onto stage for the first time in front of an audience. There's a bit of apprehension in that moment.
Yeah.
Hopefully you've distracted yourself trying to figure out what your prior moments are, and you're in the zone. But
Yeah.
this fear is all over the place, and there's one fear that I think you address really interestingly. And I don't even know if you know that you do this, but it was what I observed when I went to your session. And that's addressing a fear that you just might be pretty good. You just might be successful. And how will that change your life? How will that, what rules will now all of a sudden be very different if you actually do get what you're asking for? You do get what this business can, on occasion, provide. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely, because this is a big one. And this is one that I think can be a little bit less conscious than the others, but it still affects us the same way. It still affects our nervous systems the same way. And it still results in, you know, a nervous system response: fight, flight, freeze, fawn. A lot of times I find that people are procrastinating, not because they're lazy or because they don't know how to do the work or whatever, but because there's a fear that's not acknowledged and they're in freeze. They're in freeze, you know? So yes, that fear of success is seemingly contradictory, or, doesn't make sense, but it's huge and it's real. And especially for actors, when success can often mean a level of visibility that we haven't experienced before, that can feel really dangerous, right? Imagine millions of people knowing who you are, wanting to be close to you, some of those people being a little crazy, right? That's a real concern for a lot of people.
Yep.
Imagine a world where you're so successful that you earn so much more money than anyone in your family ever has, and you're afraid of perhaps being ostracized or not fitting in with your family anymore, right? Not fitting in with the tribe anymore. Like, these are all real things that we have to really contend with. And so, part of what I work with clients on, and what we're going to talk about in Powerhouse, is getting your system adjusted to this new level of success, right? Like, really feeling into what it is and making it safe for yourself so that you can actually reach it, right? Like, our bodies, our beings are extremely intelligent, and we are going to protect ourselves from things that aren't safe. If I don't actually think it's safe to be the lead of a series, guess what? I'm not going to be. I'm going to be prevented from that. My body, the innate intelligence of my body, is going to prevent me from doing that. And so if that's the case, if that's a real fear that I have, it's going to be helpful for me to be aware of that so that I can work on that. And that's what we're doing with Powerhouse.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you to give us a real quick rundown of day 1, day 2, day 3 again, with the titles of each day, because each day has a very powerful title. But I think as I watch reels and stories online with actors telling their story, I think that the number of actors that say, "Oh, my family was all for me being an actor. They were very supportive. They were great. My dad was a plumber, my mom was a secretary, but they were really supportive of me. They understood me so well." I feel like those stories are rare to rarer. Most of the time, I'm hearing a version of my story, which is, my dad used to insult me because I wasn't taking, wood shop and auto mechanics and working toward a GED, as opposed to, drama and volleyball and, the AP courses and a, 4.0 plus to try and get into college. That was like all foreign to him. And then on top of that, "Oh, you're going to come and see me in the senior play? Why would I do that? Why would that be something I'd want to do? Tell me." That kind of, a lot of people experience that kind of misunderstanding and lack of support. And when you realize that they're just doing the best they can with what they understand, they have no ability to understand what you want, what you are inspired to do. It all of a sudden makes it easier to handle. It doesn't make it less hurtful sometimes, but at least you understand that they're taking the number one item on their menu, and the number one item on their menu is, you're an idiot for doing this,
That's right. Yep.
but you've got to go with your number one
On
item.
their part, right? It's just a lack of understanding that's inspiring a huge fear that you're not going to be okay. Because who makes a living doing that weird shit?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Or as my buddy Michael Kostrov says, he'll go to parties around the holidays and people will go, why don't you sign up to be on that Saturday Night Live thing?
My uncle has said that to me. It's like, I feel like careers really get launched from that show. You should be on that.
You
I'm
should
like,
be on. Yeah, just ask him to be on. What do you sign up? You sign up on a Tuesday and then they cast you on a Thursday, right? All right. So day one, what's the title?
So day one is identity. We're talking about your powerhouse breakthrough. This is where we're talking about the way that you relate to yourself as an actor and those actor archetypes. Day two is alignment. We're talking about your powerhouse essence. That's where we're, getting to the nitty gritty of like, you can work your butt off, but that's not all you need. And so we're doing that meditative journey together. And then day three is strategy. We're talking the 11 pillars of the powerhouse actor. And that's where we get into those tactics that you were talking about.
Great. And this is all like, it's usually around an hour long.
Yep. Hour, a little less than an hour. Reserve an hour and you'll be great.
Yeah.
Yep.
And during that time, you're going to get some really, really interesting. So bring pen and paper, be ready to type. You're going to get some really interesting, what?
Lots of notes will be taken.
Yeah.
If you're a note maker. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a group that you can join if you want to. Once you register, Ajarae will send you some emails with some further details where to go and what the group is and all that sort of thing. And to me, it helps the people that I teach really shore up the notion that it's not a crapshoot to get your place at the table. It is part of your journey to find where your seat is at the table. Not, well, I tried, didn't work, didn't ever get what I wanted. There are people who will go at this in a way that just might not ever lead to success. I mean, that's the story more often than not, given the number of jobs there are and the number of people going after those jobs, the number of people. And part of it is the people that show up for these kinds of meetings, because usually it's the better actors who, when they do execute acting and people see them execute acting, they make it look easy. Yeah. And so the people who are not yet actors, who are thinking about being actors, think, well, it looks pretty easy to me. How hard could this be, right? Yep. Okay, so again, the link is voheroes.com/power. If you go live, there will be some extra benefits for you.
Really Tell me about that. Some fun interaction. So I love hosting. I want all of my events to feel like a party. And so we'll be giving lots of prizes away for those who are there live. There's a playlist that you'll get access to as soon as you sign up, so you can get the vibe for the event, get geared up for it. We're going to have a lot of fun. So, I think it's just so helpful, especially if you're in a period where you're feeling like overwhelm or a sense of being discouraged, that you have community. And so we have a pop-up online Facebook community where you will receive support. You will be able to share your takeaways. You will be able to share what's going on with you, and you'll engage with me and my team over the course of the event. So it's a very unique experience, I will say, and I'm so looking forward to it. I literally can't wait till Monday.
Yeah. There are advantages to doing it live. Even if you can't go live, register for it so that you can watch the sessions after the fact. You'll get a lot out of it. I look at this as not only a sort of load-bearing pillar in my business, but also braces other things. It's like it adds to certainly for my tribe. It adds to what I teach in terms of mindset in VO Heroes, and also just the business side of things, the commerce of the business. When you can handle yourself in a way where you don't look like you're struggling, where you don't look like you're ill at ease being in the room with big name people or people with power or people with green light ability. If you can just exist peacefully and lovingly in a space like that, and then be able to take advantage of an opportunity when presented to you. Katie was the name of the woman in New York, is that right? You
Yeah.
know, I bet when the casting director said, I'd really like you to read for this, she didn't say, should I do this? I don't know. Am I ready for this? I don't know. Let me get to some comments here. Tango Jordan says, "Oh, Lorne Michaels is accepting applications. That's fantastic." Bill Hoverston says, "Signed up, did so."
Oh, Bill, yeah,
Also, Tango, we are always iconoclasts. I get to say the word iconoclasts from time to time. And then ML says, fear of success is my number one fear. John Bird says, that's what I'm afraid of, success. If you say that now, that's what I'm afraid of, success. You can, in some ways, where did it go? There it is. You can in some way insinuate that into your being. And so I would invite you, John, to say, that's a fear I had, success.
yeah.
Because that is one of those fears, oddly enough, that a simple decision can change.
Yeah.
Instead of I fear success, I anticipate success. It celebrates that same feeling, that vibration that's inside of you. But
Yes.
instead of categorizing it as something negative and something debilitating, you can categorize it as something positive and enervating and empowering and exciting, And it's not just one of those, I swear to God, this is something Ajarae taught me. It's not just one of those sayings. It is actually a statement that you make to yourself, and the reticular activating system in your brain then says, oh, okay, all right, if that's the way you're going to look at it, fine, I'll look at it that way, that's fine. And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of those things. Bill says, good reframing the negative into positive. Thanks, David and Ajarae. I'm excited about Monday. Thanks for signing up, George. I appreciate it. Bill signed up. I thought Bill was referencing that he had signed up to Saturday Night Live. No, he'd actually signed up to go to Powerhouse. So go to I'll put the link up in just a second. Yes, it will help you. I don't know who the tissue caddy is. Somebody who gets very emotional at every moment. But listen, this is not just about people on camera. The reason I'm here bringing my people to talk about this is because voiceover and on camera or on stage, the difference, as we talk about in our classes, is simply the collector device.
That's right.
Are you acting in front of a camera? Are you acting in front of a live audience? Are you acting in front of a microphone? You're acting, period. And it's filled with just as many potential pitfalls and moments of hesitation and fear that on camera work or stage work or any other kind of public speaking. I mean, performing in general is a weird, writing, it's a weird thing. Bill says my SNL debut is next week. That's fantastic. You're gonna be right up there with Steve Martin in terms of hosting. That's great. Mel says, "Oh, I like that. Fear of success was my number one fear, or perhaps it still is, but I honestly have no fear as of this time last month." Well, great. Now solidify that. I want you to do this. I want you to. I know you've already registered for it, but for those of you that want to make a change in that and then set it in stone, really solidify it, visit voheroes.com/power, sign up for the Powerhouse program. Starts Monday, as we're doing this live on Thursday. Starts on Monday, 9/9. Goes on the 9th, the 10th, and the 11th. And really give yourself that gift. Spend some time with Ajarae. What would you say to the person who's like, I've heard all this stuff before. I've heard people who are going to do free seminars, and I go there and all they try to do is sell you stuff. And, what actionable things am I going to take away from this? I mean, I know you had mentioned some of the tactics that people will have as of day 3, but if you could share with us a hidden gem that a lot of people have mentioned, maybe the second day, it's I looked at it as a guided meditation. Am I wrong?
No, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It is, I call it an energetic alignment session because she's actually doing energy work while she's
Mm,
doing this.
yeah.
So, things are shifting that, we don't even quite understand. And so that's why people will leave day 2 just feeling differently, like feeling like a weight has lifted somehow, or feeling like something weird has happened and they don't understand why. And we actually have a lot of reflections from last year's attendees on the sign up page, just so you can see from, don't take it from me, take it from people who were there, that there's a real shift that happens. And, I'm an actor too. It's really important to me to contribute to my community something that's going to be valuable. And, I pride myself, as I feel like you do, David, on offering content that is going to change your life in some way, whether or not you decide to purchase the program that's associated with it, right? Like, I lead a community called The Table, and countless people have gotten so much out of my content that are not members of The Table. And I love that. That gives me so much energy. I'm just so grateful to be in the position to offer something like this. And this came out of the strike last year. When we were doing Powerhouse, we were still in the strike. The WGA had just come to some semblance of an agreement, and we were feeling optimistic about that. But SAG-AFTRA was still in the middle of the strike. And so, I think that all of the things that we are talking about will benefit you, whether or not you decide to continue and work with me.
Yeah. And we're in the middle of another strike right now. The video game strike is going on for some of my followers, and so
Yep.
it's one of those things that's going to happen again and again and again, and you can take it as a moment of reclamation and recreation of that wellspring of power inside you. You don't have that pesky audition and work thing to distract you from building your own internal strength. So we
Yeah.
have maybe 8 minutes left, and I want to make sure that everybody who's got a question about, or a challenge about energy and about power, can get it in the comments between now and then. So let me see here. I tried to add to my calendar. It took me to some weird, unassociated, unsafe site. I don't know what that is, but I'm sure that once we're done here today, ML, Ajarae will be able to help you. Wait, hold on. Does it start on 9/9 at 9? Nope. It starts on 9/9, unless you're in Hawaii or somewhere in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It's 9/9 at noon. At noon. Tango says, it's this time around, it's Ajarae creating value. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. He
Tango.
also says, being able to benefit from our trauma is tight. And I'm assuming that's a phrase that the kids are using these days that's positive. Oh, dude, that's so tight. Great. ML says TYVM, which I believe is thank you very mama. So awesome. I want to make sure that people know where to go, and I also want to make sure that you get your questions in. So last call, it's coming up on the top of the hour. Go to voheroes.com/power and grab your comp ticket for the 3-day event, 3 hours. It's around lunchtime. So, go to Mendocino Farms, get yourself your, vegan, gluten-free, non-GMO, hand-built sandwich. You'll be right there with Ajarae. This is like right up Ajarae's alley. And I look up to Ajarae, not only figuratively, but literally. Every time I see her, I'm like, hi, up there, Ajarae. She towers over everybody. She's like 7'4". And I went to one of her premieres, I think it was last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had no trouble finding her. There was a group of about 300 people waiting to get into the theater. And it was like the best version of the tall poppy syndrome, which is an Australian thing. And there was Ajarae like, hey, waving at me, and like, you're waving at me. Okay. But go to voheroes.com/power and put yourself in Ajarae's sphere of influence.
Mm.
Do me that favor. Just check it out, because you're going to walk away with more than one something. You're going to walk away with a new outlook on the amount of power that you may already have and are not tapping into. You may walk away with a new outlook on how to acquire more really nourishing self power that you may not have thought you could. And you'll also have a new perspective on how much power will actually change how you look at a business that is nuts, a business that is whack, a business that is tight. Uh, I don't know. But I want you to have that ability. Let's check real quick and see what our last few things are. Is tight. Ryan George uses it a lot. Well, Lord knows I want to be more like Ryan George for sure. Holly says, I had calendar issues too. That's why I still keep the paper calendar. All right, good. So you're jotting it down on your paper calendar. Monday at noon, go to voheroes.com/power. And now they're having a conversation between them on paper calendars, which is just perfect. That's, I like to inspire my audience to explore new areas of accomplishment. Ajarae, I love getting together with you.
Me too, David.
I never know what to expect in terms of what you have to share. It's always something awesome. And this is ad hoc. I'm asking questions. She's giving me answers. There was no pre-planning on this. Imagine how organized and efficient and voluminous and deep the content is going to go when you give her an opportunity to create some classwork. So Monday at noon, voheroes.com/power to register and get your comp ticket for Powerhouse. Any last words before we check out and be tight for the rest of the day?
Tight. I just want to say thank you for having me. And
Sure.
I'm so excited to meet all of you who are going to be joining us. Yeah. And, just have a wonderful weekend. And I would say open yourself up to really approaching this workshop with a beginner's mindset and saying, I'm open to approaching things a little bit differently. Because I will say some of the things that we talk about are going to be a little weird, but it's going to be fun and it's going to be exciting. So thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Ajarae. voheroes.com/power. If you're watching this on the replay, make sure that you tag me and or Ajarae so that we get notified when you have a question, because Lord knows she's busy preparing for Powerhouse. I'm busy leading a life of leisure at the Palatial Lawrence Estate. And so let's real quick. We got some other things. Just signed up. Liz says she just signed up. Dennis signed up. Liz says peace out.
Peace out.
Tango says voluminous and iconoclastic. Yes. All right. We will talk to you guys later. Thank you so much, everybody. voheroes.com/power. Join Ajarae Coleman Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the 9th of September through the 11th of September at noon Pacific, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern for Powerhouse.
Awesome. I'll see you there.